Hello everyone, Dinky Jeet with the audio more. Today is day 7, the final day of Beat the Heat. So, once again, for the final day, I'll show you, I did my morning routine and a little bit of training. Now some days I do still do intense, thorough, even sometimes high volume training on Sundays. Sunday is usually the day that I actually don't do much of training. I still do like every morning, like I say, I do not go not one day without doing a morning routine, at least getting a good sweat on, getting my heart rate up and things like that. So this is pretty wet, as you can see there. But on Sundays is usually the day that I don't do much training. I just usually do a thorough morning routine, which involves sometimes a little bit of cardio, usually run up and down stairs, bicycle, maybe a short run, as well as push-ups, pull-ups, and just some very light, quick abdominal training. Okay, as you see, you may not be able to see real well, but this shirt is pretty wet too. So even though I didn't do a whole hell of a lot this morning, it's warm because no AC. It's going to be hot today and tomorrow. Tomorrow especially is going to be like 92. Heat index is probably going to be pretty high, which I'm excited about. So I'm trying to get my clothes hung up here to air out some. So, one thing I want to mention too real quick, this week's subject called Beat the Heat, it actually kind of reminds me of something. When I was in the National Guard, I went to boot camp in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, which is also known as Fort Lost in the Woods. I actually not shipped out, whatever, but I basically went on August 29th of 2001. I had graduated earlier that spring, so it was actually pretty hot, and we actually got to realize, and we actually got to experience how drastic the change in weather is there, pretty similar to Iowa. We actually got to feel the heat, we got to feel a little bit of cold, and we even got to have some snow, with the next day, believe it or not, it was like 68 to 72 degrees one day. The next day, we actually had about 4 inches of snow. It was later on that day, it was like 57 degrees, so it melted. But the thing is, when I talk about beat the heat, every time I say it, it reminds me, when we were actually training in the heat, one thing that our drill sergeants would teach us to say is, to help us embrace the heat, is beat the heat, drill sergeant, beat the heat. And so this whole week, every time I say or I look at it, the beat the heat, it reminds me of that. But it also reminds me of how much we are capable of. We are capable of so much more in life, but we're not going to find out until we actually dive in and do something. And that is the only way to do it. Continuously push yourself. Be consistent. When in the heat, though, gradual progression. Don't just try to go out there, throw on a bunch of clothes, go for a walk, go for a run for a long period of time, because guess what? You're probably going to get heat stroke or heat exhaustion. It is a gradual adaptation. Even for me, I have been doing it for years, and I mean years. I would have to say, not as thorough as I do now, not a lot of the intense things that I do now, to the extent or the level I do. However, I remember as far back, my senior in high school was when I fell in love with the heat, but honestly, when I was a kid, we didn't care about the heat. Back then, what we would literally, in the summertime, here's how we dealt with the heat. We would go to we were living in a town called Brooklyn, Iowa, and it actually had what's called a grocery store called Jack and Jill. And they had a pop machine there. It was like 25 to 50 cents. It was 25 cents per can of pop. I would always get a strawberry and or grape Welch's, or 2 strawberry Welch's pop. My brother would get like an Orange Crush, or a Sunkist, or a Welch's, something like that, okay? And we would go hit the lake. We would over 2 lakes, one called Holiday Lake, one called Rock Creek. We would go hit one, or sometimes both of them, and we would be out there for hours. We wouldn't even care. And when the heat didn't bother us because we grew up that way. A lot of the reasons, both the heat and the cold, that people cannot adapt to, or cannot think they can adapt to, or can't handle it, it's because guess what? When it starts getting hot out, I'm going to crank on my AC and I'm going to make it cold as hell in my house. And then I'm going to sit in my house most of the day and go outside and expect to be able to handle it. That's bullshit. How the hell that does not make any sense. That's very contradicting. Same thing with the cold. As soon as it drops to 50 degrees, I'm going to put on a jacket. I'm going to crank my heat up. No. How the hell else are you going to adapt to the heat? You know that the main reason that we are not able to adapt to the cold, or most people, is because of clothes, of jackets, of things. And not saying they're bad, they are necessary in extreme circumstances, just like same thing with AC and fans and stuff like that. Okay, I'm not going to get too much into this, but I want you to realize that you are much more capable than what you ever think possible. And guess what? The human body, we as humans, we are the most adaptable creatures. As humans, we can, and yes can, adapt to absolutely anything. That's anything. Anything and everything in this world. Cold, heat, extreme circumstances, stresses, being homeless, living on the street, whatever the hell it is, this is how we are designed. But it's a matter of here and here. Allowing this to take control of this, not this to take control of this. Because your mind controls your body, your spirit controls your mind, but only if you are spiritually connected and only if you do it in the right ways. So, here's one challenge for you today. Get out there, you feel like an oven inside first, then you can go outside, feel like an oven there, and slowly, gradually over time, put some clothes, extra clothes on to feel the heat, and once again, stay hydrated. Sodium, potassium, calcium, and magnesium, your 4 main electrolytes. Obviously, plenty of water as well. Ditch those damn so-called electrolyte drinks unless they have the things that I said, or at least if they have some of those and not loaded with sugar. Okay, and I want you to challenge yourself to continuously and gradually build yourself up to that. And I want you, like I said, stay hydrated and believe that you can do anything that you ever thought possible, and you will. And just be safe out there and follow and listen to your body and know your own body. So let's get say motivated. Believe in yourself, believe you can do it, and believe that you deserve it. Let's get out there, let's go smash the pump, kick that like button, just don't break it. Let's get out there and do something. Do more than what you did yesterday. Realize your true potential. Let's get out there, push yourself, let's go.